go check out the previous part, please, to gauge your bearings now, because we're talking about something very important here. I was speaking about watching ENCA or some news channel in this nation where they were interviewing a dude, like some white guy, that was talking about what is the solution to correct this. And it dawned on me as I was listening to this man speak that the South African government is deliberately holding back from letting white contractors correct the electrical infrastructure as they sign these deals with the government because of the fact that they're white. It's literally based on nothing but the fact that they're white. It's literally at that level. And how it is that it is defeatist against the entire country because they're unforgiving. And the Bible makes it clear that if you don't forgive, then you in and of yourself are not going to be forgiven. And if an entire country is not forgiven, then my goodness, you're not safe in the sight of Christ. The whole nation is languishing. We are currently enduring a 6-hour podcast through which I am busy speaking my mind. And I don't know when it's going to leave. No, it's not 6 hours. It's going on 7 hours now because what is this? The top of the hour at 2 p.m. has already hit and this podcast started at 10. So I'm literally speaking through this like heinous podcast, and when I'm done talking, I'm probably going to go to the store, go get my Zimba just to entertain myself with food. So it's making people obese to over and above suicidal. Alrighty. And this is based on no other reason than holding on and throwing money into sunken costs. In the last part, I was speaking about Cn'T and how it is that we used to make decisions to like can projects. We used financial models to explain that it will cost the organization a lot more to hold on to this project, albeit having invested a whole bunch of money initially. It will cost the company a lot more to keep it than to lose it. So just lose it, cut your losses, basically, right? And South Africa refuses to cut their losses with power plants that are geriatrics. They're old, they're senile, they're coughing, they're lost like a man with emphysema, and they cannot hold up. And when it rains, it's even worse. It's currently been raining. God knows how to judge a land, yes, for nonsense and indiscretion. It's been raining for days on end, and so much has the rain been intense in this land. There are certain areas in Johannesburg, the southern parts of Johannesburg, low-lying regions that are underwater. They're flooded and their homes are 3/4 up, like knee-deep in water. 3/4 up and knee-deep, depending on where they're at. Lenasia, Lenze, Liko, Protea Glen. Their houses are just basically canopies, like boats now, hey? They're just these funny little looking things where you chill on a roof and it's like you're sitting on a stoop, the way that they are so inundated with water. Situation is really bad. I can't even begin to imagine how they're coping, they're dealing, how kids are going to school and stuff like that. Schools are likely also flooded. So life has just been put on a standstill basically for the lower lying regions of Johannesburg, and the rain has not stopped. Okay, the rain has not ceased. It's been raining pretty much all night, and it's only up until now, as you can see, there's a little bit more sun coming into my phone, that the rain has subsided and some sun is starting to come out. That raininess, that damp nature of the atmosphere makes the situation worse, which brings me to this next part. Like, if at all your electrical infrastructure does not get decimated and brought to the ground and made to breathe its last and needs CPR, if at all it gets put in that compromised position by damp environment and an atmosphere, it tells you that you have not advanced technologically. Goodness gracious, you need to move on to power sources that are not sensitive to weather that is not so bad. Like, electricity should not die because of rain. Electricity should, if at all there is a disaster in the land and there's a power cut, maybe there be such a hard knock lightning strike that it would cause a glitch in the electrical system or cause a pole to fall on the ground or something, or a hurricane can explain for a power outage, okay? But rain should not, especially if it is not hard knock intense blowing against houses, rain, it should not cause, like, what is this, an electrical like circumstance in the country to go standstill. But South Africa is still using coal, of which I don't know if you guys have bought coal here at the garage to start a braai, and you mistakenly, land some water on your coals because ice was in there. How long it takes for you to burn that coal, you can actually forget about burning that coal. How about you spare it for the next time you have a braai? You have to let those coals dry. Go and buy new coal that's completely dry, and then only see if at all you can start a braai. Yeah, well, coal does not do very well when it is damp. And the thing about a damp atmosphere, rain on its own is not enough, because I suspect that these coals are put in an environment that is sheltered. Of course, they wouldn't just put it out in the open, but rain has this thing that it does called humidity, where it can cause particles of air to just kind of like, be riddled, laced with water, and they then enter into any atmosphere at all that can be entered into by air particles, and so they cause coals to be dampened. And so if rain is lasting for a longer period of time than just one big fast shower over an hour, that climate that is very, very damp can then cause coals to get dampened by the humidity in the sky. So why South Africa first and foremost has not invested in airtight or sealed proof, humidity proof environments for this coal is beyond me. And on top of that, why they're still even using coals when that is a challenge is also beyond me. These power plants are so decrepit and so ancient that even the infrastructure that would historically have been built to protect coals from getting wet in the rain, and so therefore them still being usable, they're even falling apart sufficiently enough for us to be endured through lengthy power cuts because of the fact that it rained. So both rain wreaks havoc in our lives, and the fact that the power plants are old, decrepit, falling apart, and like I said, an old man with emphysema breathing his last, wheezing as he speaks. Yeah, all in 2022 when there have been so many other ways to produce energy. They also claim that the world at large has got an energy crisis. My goodness. South Africa first and foremost is a you know what, guys, South Africa is just so full of excuses. They're a member of BRICS. Russia is a massive exporter of gas energy to the whole global citizenship, especially there in Europe. So in Europe they're having a really hard time, especially that considering that right now it's winter for them, and because of the war in Ukraine and how much they have condemned and banned Russia and just sanctioned them so badly, everybody in Europe is just freezing their butts off and they're dying from the cold, right? But we're in Africa first and foremost, and it's kind of hot right now, it's summer, so we should not be using that much gas first and foremost. Secondly, we are a member, a partner country of BRICS. We have got an alliance with the world's gas provider that has currently gone to war with an innocent nation that is sovereign, that is Ukraine. We should not be struggling with a gas issue in the country. There is a global gas crisis, we get it, but we are a member of BRICS. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Because we are a member state and to BRICS, we should have the benefits, the luxuries, the cush of basically the irresponsible kid in school that has beaten up another kid in school and gets away with it because his daddy is the primary donor for the funds of this school. So this kid gets away with murder even though he's punched another kid. Like Russia is the kid that punched another kid, but Russia, like South Africa is the kid that punched another kid, and Russia is the irresponsible dad that pays his kids like indiscretions away. So we, being partnered with Russia, should not be struggling with gas issues. So no, I don't accept it. So much so are we as South Africa benefactors in the middle of a horrible war going on. We are literally one of the most untainted and untarnished countries in the world because of this situation going on in Ukraine. Everybody else is affected, less affected than us. That even our sunflower seeds during the time when they declared war on us aren't even that much more expensive. They're not. They're still kind of cheap because Russia, yes, we know Ukraine too, is a massive exporter of sunflower seeds and oil and all that jazz. Russia is still doing deals, partnering, like trade and all that stuff with South Africa. That is the reason why South Africa refused for the life of it to condemn the war, because it did not want to lose those economic benefits. So being a member of BRICS, South Africa has absolutely no freaking leg to stand on when they claim that there is, what is this, like a general global energy crisis. No, because of the war in Ukraine, I'm sorry, you belong to the daddy that went and punched an innocent kid. You belong to Russia. South Africa, you are partners with Vladimir Putin, so you don't get to claim like global gas crisis on what is going on. Plus, the war in Russia and Ukraine started on the 4th of February 2022. This thing has been happening for 17 years in South Africa. So no, you don't get to claim that what Putin did is why it is that you're so irresponsible. Lackluster 100%, like excuses provided to a nation that is languishing, being sent to the abyss on the daily by a power cut crisis, and then coming up with all different kinds of random stupid excuses as to why this is up when they can't even like play that card. They literally, South Africa cannot play the energy card based on the war in Ukraine. They can't, and yet they're doing it. Next part.